always, always, always never forget to start the recording. So I remember 4 or 5 years ago, I'm doing this joint venture with Penny Pearl, and we did it for 2 hours, and then I go, I forgot to press record. And it was a live webinar. So welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Business Owners Mastermind Group. This call comes to you live, 4 p.m. Pacific time, every single Thursday afternoon. And basically 4 different agenda items. So we do sales 1 week, marketing the next week, operations, which is today, the 3rd week, and then business accounting and finance on the 4th week. And on the months where there's 5, we do a workshop. So 2 to 3 hour workshops. So that's how this thing is structured. So today we're talking about business systems, processes, operations, pretty much any questions that you have. My co-host here, Alan Reeves, has been in business going on 25 years. Next week I celebrate 31 years in business on October 28th. So, man, if we can't help you with the challenges, there's some great people on this call that probably have some great ideas. So most of you are going to be listening to this recording on the podcast channel and also the YouTube channel. So I want to remind everybody, full disclosure, disclaimer, this is being live broadcast on YouTube. Feel free to go over there, make comments, whatever you want to do, but just keep that in mind when you share that you're being streamed live. So full disclosure, and by staying on, you agree to that message. So anyways, so Alan, what we're talking about today is operations. And you and I kind of set the table without getting too detailed and too much into confidential information. But you recently went through a situation, and I've been through this situation, where you don't really find out what's really going on in some cases until that employee leaves, right? And I think it's a good place to start, because several of the people that I work with right now, and lots of companies I've worked with in the past, and a lot of people that send me texts and emails talk about, you know, I thought that person was great. I thought that they walked on water until they left. So let me ask you a question. The most recent situation, you can get as detailed as you want or tell the story however you want to do it. But really what I'm after is, what were the lessons you learned? Because the way I look at it is this way. Every time something happens, whether it's good or bad, there's a lesson to be learned there. Because if it's going to cost me money, I'm gonna turn it into education. That way I can move on. So
yeah.
What do you think? What were some of the best practices that you learned that you're going to implement going forward? Because we hire employees, we bring them on the right, put them in the right seat in the bus, we train them, and then we think we don't ever have to follow up with them. So what are some of the things that you learned?
Well, I prefer to say I learned them again. You know, not that you go back and repeat old mistakes, but my organizations are like, we're very culture oriented, and part of that culture is giving people the freedom and a bit of space to be themselves and to add value to the position, to explore better ways to do their jobs, etc. And sometimes when you give people freedom, you also give them the freedom to maybe make a mistake and be able to cover their tracks. If you, and that's especially true if you are in the services business and you have, you know, part of your culture is, you know, you want to please and serve the client to the best of your absolute ability. Well, there were several things that we found after the fact with this particular individual, but the number one thing I can tell you is his good intentions were absolutely killing us. Now, just as a very good example that everybody can understand, one of our organizations is IT services, and we're in the business of protecting data. And we had an accounting firm that was shutting down because the owner was retiring. and we decommissioned her desktop, which had countless company files on it, and got her a laptop. This is the last week of June of this year. It's been 3-4 months. Got her a new laptop, tasked our employee with doing a data transfer, and he did that. She boots up the computer a couple of weeks ago for the first time and realized, not all my stuff is here. Not all my stuff is here. Now, this is typically no big deal ever, because when we provide the client with their equipment or we do a job, we make sure that they have their old data. You either keep the old computer or you hand them the old hard drive, or you place it in their hand. You make sure they have it and say, look, put this in a safe deposit box, put it in a safe. This is your stuff. This is your backup copy. It's just another backup copy of everything we moved to this computer. Well, our client asked our engineer, well, I'm not comfortable. I don't know anything about technology. Could you hold it for me? The answer right there is no. Or pick up the phone and call your supervisor, because this is not policy. What you don't do is exercise your freedom to say, sure, I'll do it, and bring the drive back to our office, where you then confuse it with another client. And
so the only reason I bring it up, because I want to pause you there for a minute, is when you look at your own processes, your own systems inside your business.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some things that now you got this experience, right? And because I want to share this for the benefit of everybody, because God knows I've learned my lessons the hard way. What are some of the things that you look at your own processes and systems right now that broke down, right? That need to be fixed and put in place? What are the things that you learn from it so this never happens again?
Well, I'll tell you, one thing that we did, and this sounds trivial, but we expanded our ability to print labels. I'm one of these people where, it's like being a surgeon. I want to be able to walk into my building in the middle of the night with no lights on and put my hand on the exact tool that I want at any time without turning on the lights. It's got to be in its place. And everything that comes in or out of our facility and everything that's at our clients' locations is labeled with the proper name, the proper nomenclature, the proper naming schema. And if you see anything that is missing an identifying marker, it gets addressed. It must be addressed at that time. No walking past it and go, oh, you know what? I'll look at that tomorrow. God, the procrastination it doesn't work. It is, going through the pilots, going through the pre-flight check has got to be a tedious thing. And you know what? It better be done every time the same way, no matter how boring it is, no matter how mundane, how many times they do it. It's got to be done. It's the same with prepping surgical equipment. Basically, John, at the end of the day, it is making sure that you are bringing the highest levels of professional best practices to whatever you're doing.
So now I want to tie this bow on it, because not all of us are in IT. Not all of us, the details and all that stuff. The principle, right, is that as a business owner, if you're just starting out, you're actually in a way better place versus this client I just took on this week that's $3.7 million, 27 employees, and they have zero processes and systems. I'm still blown away at how they were able to get to where they're at versus the startup. So the startup, you can learn now. And startup, I mean, you don't have any employees yet. That's what I would consider you being in startup mode. Because until you actually really have a payroll that you've covered, probably just self-employed at this point, okay? Everything changes the moment you bring on that first body, okay? And I'm going to show you how to make that decision here in just a second. And I want to open it up for live coaching and Q&A on the call. But along the way, there's a good resource out there called The E-Myth Revisited, Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. Those are really two really good, solid resources to get yourself started. But it all starts with you as the owner. At some point, you, the owner, are going to have to write the processes and the systems. And then once you bring on that first employee, making sure that you hire the right person, the right time, use assessments, you do background checks. Don't ever hire somebody when you need them at the last minute. You'll always make a mistake that way. And then you need to do checks and balance on them. So for me, in the companies that I've owned and ran, and the companies that I consult going forward, is like, you need to have a monthly or quarterly, depending on the size of the business, review with that employee. If you're in a technology company like yours, Alan, or you're in a company where you're hiring a professional and they are doing a very specialty type work that you don't know, very important you have some checks and balances in place to make sure that they're actually doing what you're paying them to do. The best time is on vacation times, sick times. Go through their desk. Okay, but what do you mean go through their desk? Yeah, go through their desk. Don't get a knock on the door that, you're behind on this or you're behind on that because some employee forgot to mail off the check, right? I sound like I'm talking from personal experience because I am. You learn the hard way. So if everything that you needed in business from a process and procedure standpoint were actually written in the book, we wouldn't have enough pages to print the book, right? So the thing you got to do is start where you're at. Every time you bring in somebody, you want to make sure that they're better than you. And then you use proper delegation, make sure that they understand what it is required of them, what success is, how you currently do it, and give them permission. This is where most small business owners fail, is like, give them permission to own it, right? You own this process and system now. It's up to you to make the improvement. It's up to you to keep it up to date, but you just can't leave it up to them. You got to check and verify that. So a couple of resources, and then I want to open it up for Q&A, which has everything to do with operations. So let me share my screen real quick, and I'll give everybody this on a silver platter. You can have it, own it. It's detailed out in such a way where you don't even have to get a hold of me, but if you want to, that's fine. But I'll send you this. And literally, it's like step by step. Here's how you do it. Here's how you systematize your business. At the end of the day, you want your business to be able to run without you. And there's a roadmap that I've used now to successfully do that personally 3 times on my own companies and hundreds of other companies since. And it starts off with this. You go through this 4-list exercise. Here's the detailed plan step by step on how to do it. I'll share that with you. And here's where you do it. So every business task that you have, and when you have employees, you want to have them do this as well. Okay, you want to keep a 4-list exercise with every employee and yourself. How much time per week do they spend doing this? Do they like it? Do you like it or don't like it and you're not great at it? You want to put a check mark here. Do you like it or you're great at it? You should be doing more of it. Check box here. Then you need to ask yourself, is this task something that I can delegate, automate, or outsource? By the time you're done with this exercise, you can sort it based on the time per week, and then you can decide, do I hire an employee right now? Or do I go and hire Joe or Mary, the subcontractor in the U.S. or Philippines or wherever, to take this one task off my plate? And once you have about 20, 30 hours off your plate here, now I would be looking at an employee, okay? And then bringing them on in a systematic manner like this. My client, Jackson Sands. 3 years ago, we started working together. 2 employees quit their jobs, started their own business. Came to me and was like, how do we run a business? You don't know. Are we a business? I think you are. I think we are. That's kind of where they were. Well, now here they are. They're bringing on their 8th employee, and they've used this entire system. They haven't had a single turnover. They're running at 92.5% utilization, meaning now the 40 hours a week. Those people are busy and productive, 92.5%. You get that way by putting the right people in the right seat with the right task. And you put processes and systems in place where if that employee leaves this afternoon and doesn't come back tomorrow for whatever reason, somebody can step into that play. So E-Myth used to be the holy grail, in my opinion, Mike Michalowicz's book, Clockwork, and that whole system of leveraging Zoom, leveraging Otter, leveraging written processes, things that can keep those processes nice and tight and up to date will help it be fresh. And, reason I say is think about, Joe Smith created a process a year ago that had to do with shipping out a UPS box, okay, just as an example. Well, here we are a year later. If it hasn't been updated, it's probably different now. Okay? So it needs to be a system that's set up that allows them to keep it updated and keep it fresh. So those are my 2 cents on that. Does anybody else have any operational tips, tricks, recommendations for the good of everybody? And then I want to open it up for Q&A. You can unmute yourself by pressing the unmute button.
John, I will say, if you are in startup mode, anybody listening, if you're a solopreneur, yes, you need to process out what you consider common sense. You just referenced packing up a UPS box. To you might assume that hey, I should probably double tape this, or just want to make certain that you got enough packing peanuts in there, and you're going to think that anybody you hire surely has the good sense to replicate that without being told. Do it anyway. It might sound discouraging, but process everything.
Oh, exactly. Carrie.
Yeah, I just wanted to pipe in with that exact thing. And I liken it to a restaurant, because I know I've done strategic plans for delis and so forth. And everything has to be written out so that a 2-year-old could, maybe somebody who could read, let's say a 7-year-old could follow it, right? That's the idea. Because if you don't, if it isn't written like a recipe, then something is going to be missing. And people don't have the same picture in their head that you have. No matter how many times you say it, the picture that pops into their head could be completely different. And anybody who's married or has a partner knows that's true.
Ben, you have something to add?
I'd love to just happen to share something that I just created today for social media promotion that I think you guys can use. Totally steal it. If I may share my screen, I'll share it with you. Super simple. It's a tagline that I've been using that has been really resonating with business owners. Water puts out the fire, but clearing the brush can prevent the fire. Instead of reacting when problems arise and addressing them acutely, work on processes and people that prevent those problems from happening. And that's essentially what BBSI does. So it prevents the proverbial fires. Because I feel like a lot of business owners, they get into business because they're really good at what they do. They didn't get into business because they love processes and payroll and HR and compliance and OSHA and whatever their industry entails. And so they come to you guys, they come to John, right? They come to business coaches because they're like, I don't understand how to, create a structure around a business. I just know that I'm really good at swinging a hammer, right? Or I'm really good at data, right? Or IT or whatever that is. I don't know how to hire, fire, delegate. They didn't go to business school necessarily for that. And so I think it's really crucial that we identify that what the problems are, what the processes that need to be put in place, and then have partners that know how to help them implement those processes and delegate when necessary. Whether it's some people use the outsourcing model. With what we do, we basically unisource all of those. So they do their payroll and their HR and their risk and their business strategy together. But finding experts at what they do and bringing them either on your team or outsourcing it one way or the other so that everybody plays to their strengths. And I think that's what makes a successful business, right? Getting people that are good at what they do and delegating what they don't do as good.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it reminds me of a conversation I had with a client literally just probably 30 minutes before this call. And, it's a brand new business owner. Him and his partner a couple of years ago is when they came to me, and we've done a lot. But the one thing of the business he just absolutely has zero desire to do anything about He hates the administrative, operational side of his company, both him and his business partner. And so they're like, no, we'll do it ourselves. And so it's not a lack of knowledge. It's, hey, we've been at this for 3 months and you ain't doing jack. So I got some good news and I've got some bad news for you. The good news is if you tell yourself, hey, I'm 100% responsible, then, 100% responsible. I don't care if there's an employee that goes and, makes a huge mistake in your company. Ultimately, you're the owner, you're 100% responsible. And the moment you accept that responsibility is the moment you get to be 100% part of the solution. And so, there's a thing called the 5 stages of grief. And also, you go through the denial phase, you go through the bargaining stage, you go through the anger stage and the depression stage. But until you get to that acceptance stage, you can't move on. You just can't. And so I just said, hey, here's the bad news and the good news. Bad news is you're going to have to do this. Okay. Otherwise, you and your business partner will stay as you and your business partner for the rest of your life, and you'll never have a vacation, ever. Okay, you're going to get burnt out, and you're going to go back to work for somebody. The good news is you can do it. Okay. The also good news is it's in your control, but you need to get it out of your head that you're an 8 to 5 employee, because that's still the mindset that you have. And truth be told, 60, 70 hours a week is what it's going to take. And all this crap that you don't want to do, I don't care. Okay? This is what you have to do. You have to do all the crap in your business that you don't want to do until you make enough money to hire somebody to do the crap that you don't want to do. The only reason I ever hire an employee, okay, is when I want them to do stuff I don't want to do. Okay? Or I want them to do more of the stuff that I ran out of time to do. Okay? Other than that, I'm not in the business of providing jobs. It's not my goal. I'm in the business to create profit, make money, change a lot of people's lives. But if you're going to come work for me, then our job as business owners, is to create a structure and a system where that employee has no guessing game as to what's expected from them. Truth be told, most employees don't want to start their own business. There's some that do, but most of them, they just want security. They want to be able to come to work in a great environment, perform, and walk away feeling fulfilled. That's how you get to 85, 90, 95% utilization, is they're happy. They want to be there. Well-written processes, systems, procedures, and especially getting their input is going to help you have your freedom, okay? Your absolute freedom. And so I can't encourage you enough to do that. And if you need any help, I'm going to so if you send me a text, send me because a lot of you are going to listen to this on the podcast as well. So 916-741-0596. That's the same number every week, 916-741-0596. My admin monitors that. Send your name, your email address, and I'll send you these resources in the Dropbox folder. But execute on it, Execute on the things I'm talking about today, and systematize your business. And if you run into any problems, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Carrie. Carrie's an unbelievably great consultant and coach. I would highly endorse her to anybody. Yeah. And we're on a call that I'm hosting, and I'm doing this to get leads, but I would hire her in a heartbeat. For sure. Any one of these guys on here, we all have something to offer. We've been building a business, so reach out to people. So with that said, I'm going to open it up. Does anybody have a business problem, challenge, or opportunity they would like to discuss openly on this call today to get the feedback from the other business owners that are on this call? Don't all raise your hand at once. Okay. Go ahead, Alan.
So just throwing it out there to the group, we have a new prospect. They're a multi-million-dollar company. In fact, the guy was operating out of his basement just 10 years ago, and now he's actively plotting an exit strategy. They are an artistic company. They, without going into great detail, they make wraps for vehicles, and they also do tour buses. They are based in Nashville, and they are well connected in the country music industry. So you can imagine the amount of business that they're getting. I went out to see their facility. It's incredible. John, I'll text you a couple of pictures of it later. It's really something to see. Their IT infrastructure is something they have never planned on. It's like John's new client. You know, they're up to what, almost 4 million or something, and they have no processes at all. This company has zero backup of every original design they've ever done. It's on an old network attached storage unit that is not replicated anywhere. And I had the guy that owns it is just as congenial as can be, but he's never had in his mindset that technology is something he needs to budget for. He's always done it on an as needed basis, and a train wreck is coming. We all know this. A train wreck is coming. I am at a point in my career where I cannot care about somebody else's security, data security or whatever, more than they can. I can't beg them to reconsider how they're thinking. I can't beg them to open their mind and re-educate themselves, or think about what's going to happen when this dies, because it's a matter of time. All technology dies. What does it look like if you lose all these original designs? And there's thousands and thousands. And I'm finding that right out of the gate, there's a lot of reticence with this guy even considering something that is a recurring service. And that's our business model. We manage your backups. We want visibility into it. We want to see if they're not working. We want to see if it's hiccuping. We want to see if the device is starting to fail. And we encounter this from time to time. You know, I mean.
So now, what was when you talk to him? What's the big challenge that you have? Are you looking for help on how to approach this guy, how to close this, how to? How can we help you?
I guess the thing I'm coming to is, like, let's say that somebody comes to Dan and they are interested in, I need a website for my business. And then super nice person. And then halfway through the conversation, it's like, though, Dan, I've gone this far in business and I've never had a website. Do I really need you? And it's almost like you want to keep the conversation going. There's still a potential for making a sale here, but at some point, Dan's got to go, well, you came to see me. You recognized a need. You came to see me. You want to explore the need. Here's how I can help you. Where do you draw the line? Where do each of you professionally draw the line with someone that they're caught somewhere between being actively interested in exploring what you can do for them and just kicking the tires on the idea of whether or not they need you at all? You know what I mean? There's a nuance there.
There's the time where you have to ask yourself, do I really want this as a person, as a client? Because sometimes the customer is just more work than what they're worth.
No, you're absolutely right. And there are a lot of times, if he had a different personality, if he had a different temperament, I probably would say, you know what, we're just not a fit. I probably would have already said that. The thing about this guy, though, is that he's very successful, but he's also, he has no true conception of the catastrophe that's coming. And how much of my job is it to paint this picture for him before I go, maybe we're not a fit. Maybe you need to find another company. But the thing is, I'm not sure he thinks he needs one at all. So
let me pause you there. Let me pause you there for just a second, because you asked the most important, most valuable question in the whole sales process. Okay, whose responsibility is it to help this guy understand?
You would think the salesperson.
You and I have been working together for a long time, so you already know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I know where you're going with it.
So the thing is people buy things for two reasons. Number one, to solve a pain. Okay. Number two, to satisfy a pleasure. People will spend 10, 15, 20, 30 times more to solve a pain than they ever will to solve a problem. And so the very first thing that I have to do in the sales process is make sure, number one, I'm taking care of me as a salesperson. If I don't have a big old fat pipeline of prospects, then now this one prospect matters the world to me. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if I have a big pipeline, now when I'm talking to the guy, I can go off of selling equals service, sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion, selling's about leading, selling's about moving people to action. I literally can be as strong as I want with the guy. You know, people look at it as pushy, but stories sell. You know, and I know you have plenty of stories to go to that guy and go, listen, man, let me ask you a question. If you imagine this, imagine you left the building today and, we got a tornado, somebody stolen and, came in and stole your computer. Somebody, the building burned down. Or maybe the thing just didn't work tomorrow morning when you came in and you lost everything. Imagine that has happened. How would that affect you? And if he's like, well, that would be a big deal. And guess what? I can't help you, dude.
Yeah.
Can't help you. But if he says, oh, dude, our business would be completely done and gone. Really, tell me about that. What would actually happen? Now I know that there's a wound under that Band-Aid that he just put there. And my job is to rip that, and I want to rip it off as slow as possible. Okay? I could rip the Band-Aid off, and he'll be in pain for a little bit. No, I want to rip that sucker off as slow as I can so he can feel the maximum amount of pain, because until he's ready to solve that pain, it reminds me of the old dog back in the Ozarks, hound dogs sitting on a porch and just a howling, just constantly, nonstop, and his neighbor comes over and you got to holler into the house, hello, the house. Otherwise you might get shot out in the Ozarks, right? Hello. So his neighbor comes in, he goes, hey man, what's wrong with the dog? Well, he's sitting on a nail. Well, why doesn't he get off of it? Well, he'd rather holler, And it's the same thing here. If I have a product or a service that I absolutely know is going to help that individual, and they meet the first two criteria of for me, this is my two criteria, and Dan and you guys, Dan and you, Alan, know this, is I have to like you. Okay. Number two is I got to honestly believe I can help you. Okay. If those two don't exist, I don't pursue you. I don't care who you are. Right. And I've learned that if you work with clients that you absolutely like to work with, you'll make a whole lot more money and life will be a whole lot more enjoyable. Okay? So that's number one. Let's just say that this guy meets those two criteria. Now, it is my job. It is my job 100% to help him understand the pain that he's about to experience. And the more I could tell him stories that he can resonate with and connect the known to the unknown, And I mean, you had a similar situation 3 years ago. I mean, you didn't anticipate a flood to wipe out your whole business. You had to get a whole new facility. I mean, it wiped your business completely out. You literally had to physically move that's a story, And so you say, hey, remember that flood we had here like 3 years ago? Remember how all those businesses got destroyed? I was one of them, Let's just say that happened again, because you don't know. It could happen this weekend. What would happen? Well, we would do this. Okay, well, talk to me about it. How long would you be down? Oh, we'd be down for a day. What if you never got the data back? What if you absolutely never got let me tell you a recent story. I had an employee, or actually I had a friend. I would tell it in the third party. I had a friend of mine that had an employee. and his employee left and they lost all the data. All the data was gone. Do you think that person sleeps well at night? No. So you want to paint that picture to the point where it's, hey, do they want to actually solve the pain? If they do, and if you've done that right, then you can pricing doesn't matter at that point. How much should you charge them? As much as they'll pay. If they say yes too easy, you left too much money on the table. But the point is in a sales process, because we're talking about processes, right? There is an actual sales process for every single product or service that a business sells. And all you got to do, if you've been in business for any length of time and you have great satisfied clients, is go back and reverse engineer the process that those clients went through to buy from you. And that's going to give you your step-by-step buyer fingerprint. That all you have to do is repeat that process over and over and over and over and over again, using the mantra that Tony Robbins is famous for, is you ride that pony until that pony doesn't ride no more. And then when it stops riding, you go and replace it with another pony. Okay? So in this case of this situation, that's what I would do. I'd say, hey, man, I was thinking about it. Yeah, you can rekindle the conversation. I was thinking about it. I slept on it. I woke up. Dude, I literally woke up in the middle of the night in sweats, thinking about you losing your data. And I apologize. I take 100% responsibility for walking away from the conversation and letting you know what kind of trouble you're in. But you're in the same position where I walk upon you and you're hanging off a 300-foot cliff getting ready to fall and die. And I just walked away, and I just want to apologize for that. Let me talk to you about what the real implication of you not doing something is. Let's have a conversation. And most of the time you approach another business owner that way, they're going to be open to listening, and you close that deal, and then he becomes a customer.
I'd love to add to that, John, if I may.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I think everything that you said is money, as always, right? But it's some maybe some takeaways that I can add that I've used in my 14 years of sales experience. And I think we're all consultants here, right? We're not the sleazy salesperson. At least I wouldn't think so. That would be on this call. It's
Dan probably is, but
no, of course not. We truly want the best. And so if you're coming at it from, the right heart, and truly being authentic, then they're going to feel that first and foremost. So there isn't any tactic per se that or something one thing that you're going to say that you're going to sell them. But the main thing that I think John said is find the pain, right? And if you're just genuinely curious about their business and you ask good questions, you're going to find that pain. And believe me, business owners, they love ranting and, talking about what's going wrong or what the hell is going on in their business. And so if you ask good questions, what would happen if this were to happen? Who's responsible if that were to happen? If you couldn't do the work, if you were sick or you're in a car accident or, you had a family emergency, you had to leave. If you have a funeral, you have to, go out of town for. Who is responsible for running the business? Right? It depends on what the problem is, if it's a quick fix or if it's a process. But is there a process in place? Because again, going back to what I said earlier, you can put out the fire, but what's going to prevent this from really being a reoccurring issue in the future? And I'm sure that all of us have value add that we can help solve those problems. But some things that I wrote down here, I can send them in the chat if you want. But do you have a process in place for someone to step in and pick up where you left off? What is this problem costing you? Right. So like, for example, a flood or a natural disaster were to happen, right? What would that cost you? What is it worth to you to fix it? When would you like to have this problem solved by? When would you like it off of your to-do list? When would you like the weight off of your shoulders? If you could solve this problem and create a process to prevent this from happening in the future, when would you like to see a proposal from us? My mentality is always, if you've built enough rapport and you've built a good relationship, there isn't a problem asking them if you can present them with a proposal. And at the end of the day, that's asking for the sale, and it's an assumptive close. It's like, okay, so I'm going to get you a proposal. When would you like it by? And when we talk about this. So I think at the end of the day, if you're genuinely curious, if you ask good questions, you're putting the mirror up in front of them and they're like, yeah, you're right. We got to take care of this. And if you give them permission to handle it now and not procrastinate, then they're a whole lot more likely to just take the next step. And if you give them that white glove treatment and hold their hand and say, I'm going to help you make this happen now, and we're going to get this off of your to-do list, and we're going to fix this now, then you're a good power partner. You're a good business partner for them, and you create hopefully a lifelong relationship. So that's my mentality, at least.
Carrie, you had something
Well,
to add to it?
honestly, yes, and it's just an ad. You all have done obviously great suggestions. My thing is always to make sure that I and both pain is an emotion and pleasure is an emotion. So it's an emotional buy. So we have to bring the emotion from the last call to the next call so putting them back where they were of why they called you in the first place. So remind me what made you pick up the phone or reach out or what have you. Was this a call they reached out to you or were you bold calling them?
They called in out of
Right.
the blue. Yeah.
Perfect. So tell me where you were when you called me. Were you just having coffee in the morning and cruising the web and thinking about what made you think of this to call me? My thing is always to take them back to what their pain was enough to pick up the phone. So that you can bring that thread forward. So oftentimes we think, well, we've already had this conversation. I can pick up where we left off, but that's often not really the case. We have to pull the thread forward enough. And I think an emotional thread is one that for this guy, where he has to be, right?
I could not agree more.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. If they're calling you, they're wanting to meet with you, then, they're obviously right. Grant says this all the time. It's like, they call me, I want to determine whether I need to go through my sales process or not. And so a lot of times he'll go, hey, you called me, so are you ready to buy right now? Do I need to just process your payment right now, or do you want me to go through, ask you a bunch of questions? I mean, because I don't want to waste your time. If you're ready to buy right now, I'll just process the order for you. He's like, why go through a process if they're ready to buy now? It's like what Steve Knopfler told me a long time ago. He goes, where most salespeople fall short is they have the color purple, they have the color blue, and they have the color red. And after talking to the customer realizes they want red, but we have determined that they should buy blue. And so we're like, no, you need blue, you need blue, you need blue, you need blue. And they end up not buying anything. And he goes, man, if they're ready to buy, sell them red, get them love and red, and then sell them blue. It's a lot easier to sell them blue once they've gotten red. Then you can combine the two and it's purple, and everybody likes purple. That's kind of the punchline of the talk. But it's true. It's like, where can you, in each one of us here on the Solid Life Call, I know every single one of you, and there are so many insertion points into a customer relationship that you can get your foot in the door. The key is get your foot in the door. Once you get the foot in the door, then it's not about the sale I make today. It's about, am I still making a sale to them 10 years from now? It's like Alan came to me almost 6 years ago. He was referred to me were you referred to me, or did Lisa refer you to me, or was it the other way around? It was a long time ago.
Lisa told me to
Lisa
reach out to
Hendrickson
you.
referred you to me. Yeah. And so he had this problem, and I had a chance to talk to you and talk with Cheryl, and I mean, there's all kinds of other stuff, but I said, okay, what's the big problem? So we got narrowed down with what that problem was. We solved that problem. I think we implemented that. It took 2.5 weeks, to more than triple the size of your business, because that was a problem that needed to be solved. Then we were able to figure out, do we need to fix the toilet? Do we need to fix this? Right? And so a lot of times it's getting going with the client and making that a part of your sales process, especially if you have salespeople. It's like, dude, get in the door. Make a sale somewhere, because then we can have a conversation about the rest of their business. And so all of us on this call are very similar. We're all going after, unless you tell me otherwise, Ben, we're all going after small business owners, companies that are in startup mode all the way up to $10, $15 million. Okay. And so it's conversations like this. Let me open it up while we got a couple of minutes left. It is a mastermind call. Okay. What is the biggest challenge you have I guess that would be a good one. What is the biggest idea that you can share that has helped you get new business owner clients? Or what is the biggest challenge you have in hitting your end of the year big, hairy, audacious goal? And how can we help you?
Ladies first.
Carrie still got her mute button on. She's waiting for you, Ben.
I usually get that in this kind of circle. What I am implementing that will get me to the end is because I'm doing something new in my TSW consulting, I had to revamp and target a different professional market. And so webinars, honestly, it's that webinar that gets them on for 30 minutes to find out exactly what's possible and how partnering together. Because I'm really looking for 1099 professionals that just want to bring on a piece of what I do into their business. So the webinar.
So what is it that you do now?
I'm doing interest savings solutions. I still love the secret weapon. So the secret weapon consultants, TSW consultants, right? Because the secret weapon is always going to be profit, whether it's in your business or your household. It's no secret, right? But it works every time if you're paying attention to profit. And because I've opened my own agency, I have the opportunity to have professionals who are in the financial services industry be able to use this for their clients and actually find out where their discretionary income is or will be and how they can get them out of debt in, a third of the time of what their bank wants to program for. And it's what I call the no solution. No refinancing, no consolidating, no more guessing, no rice and beans. This is keep your lifestyle and we'll show you what can happen. So professionals can see where they free up. We show them where their clients can free up money to invest or buy products and services that they have their expertise, what they're offering them, what they say is a really good, important thing for them to have, whether it's an investment property and they're a realtor or they are, a financial planner or a CPA, whatever that might be, we show them where the money is.
So could you guys come into, I just took on this client and it's a minimum 3 month engagement. It's one of the bigger packages I do because I actually have to bring in a team of people. So I'm not doing all this work by myself, right? Alan's going to come in and evaluate all their technology. I'm not going to do any of that. I have an HR company. It's going to come in and evaluate all that. But what I'm hearing you say is you can come in and take a look at their profit and loss statements, their balance sheets, their income statements, and find where, hey, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do this. You can find the savings in that P&L and show them how to return it back to that bottom line. Is that what I'm hearing? Am I hearing you correctly?
It's what I have done in the past. It's not exactly the way I'm doing it now. What we find is their debt load is, whether it's personal or it's professional, but usually, when I'm dealing with businesses, and I'm going to say this out loud and on streaming. When we were doing strategic plans, we did not have a line item that was for reducing the debt. And I find that surprising that we didn't do that. And this is where I'm really focused, because not all debt is created equal. Most people don't know how debt works and how interest does not equal interest. They're not equal in any way in any contract. I mean, so showing them where that is remarkable. Because they just figure, oh yeah, that's to the side. I just got to pay it as I'm supposed to. And what we say is auto pay is a wealth delay. If you've got it on auto pay, we can show you how to save a whole lot of money on that interest.
Okay, good. I want to talk to you definitely offline about that, on how you might be able to help clients that I have.
Well, and it may help that I have read P&Ls and done that for clients, so that marriage could
I know you have.
work in our favor.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
What else? Since we're all five going after the same client, Ben, what's a great perfect client for you? Right, if you're going to spend $50,000 out of your own pocket in marketing, who would you target right now?
It's a great question. And your original question was, what's your big, audacious, hairy goal, right? And that's top end is, and the affirmation that I keep saying to myself is I so happy and grateful now that I've closed a $30 million payroll company in the Roseville area. So greater Sacramento area. That would be phenomenal. It's happened. It's been done with other counterparts. And what's interesting about that is for some people, some referral partners, they wouldn't make the same amount of money that I would make. It's nothing to them. I've spoken with a surety broker. I've spoken with bankers, and they're salaried, or it doesn't matter to them. Health broker doesn't make a great amount of money unless it's a really, really big group. Whereas for us and what we do, we can really impact the business, and we help them grow. We put in these processes in place, so we actually can give them referral fees greater than that they're making by their service or product. So it's kind of exciting now that I've been working through that. So to answer your second question was, who is a perfect fit for me? It's a between 25 and 50 employer group, contractor or blue collar worker other than a roofer, but contractor that has grown substantially in this last year, right? Because construction has been going through the roof, tons of jobs out there. Most of the time that they're finding that they can't hire enough guys, supplies are low, et cetera. So they have a lot of problems in their business and they need guidance. And like I said earlier, a lot of them are really great at what they do, right? But they're not great at the operation side of things. So that's really where our sweet spot is, with the new regulations coming down in California for requiring 401k, for requiring benefits under 50 employees. These are all things that we can help support them in finding those resources and getting that in place. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we try to be a central COI or circle of influence. So anything that they have a problem with, if we don't do it in-house, like, for example, we don't do health benefits, but we work closely with health benefit brokers. We don't do general liability insurance or commercial auto, but we work very closely with our commercial brokers. If they need a loan, right, we have different banks, which is another follow-up question I have for you, Carrie. Who would be good referral partners for you? Because I'm thinking that some bankers would be great referral partners for you, specific that I've met with the last couple of days. So yeah, I don't want to go on and on, but that would be an ideal client for you.
The nice thing is I just texted you. I texted you two people. One of them is a lady named Christy Kotaska. Okay, I'm gonna give her some pre-loving on here because her organization's unbelievably phenomenal. Her and a business partner started out, I think, 2009, and they're now maybe 10, 15 employees. They only focus on construction. They only focus on the bookkeeping and accounting for construction companies in this region. That's it. That's all they do. That is her niche. She has clients all over the state. Okay. Her husband worked for me for a couple of years. An unbelievable couple. That's her cell number I just sent you. Okay. Tell her I referred you. But she has a tremendous amount of large construction companies in her back pocket. Okay. And then number two is I'll send you another person as well that all he does is his entire consulting practice is nothing but construction. Okay, that's it. He won't consult any other type of business. And I know he's a competitor, but I've known him and I've trusted him for well over 18 years.
Eric Anderton?
Guy, but Eric Anderton. Super cool dude.
Love to get connected with him. If you can help make that happen, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. I'll send you his cell number as well. Just tell him I said hi. And tell him what you're after. He's like me. He's a big networker. Okay.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do this live on this call to show people you don't have to make 400 cold calls a week to build $1 million business. Okay. You need to put yourself in a situation where you have people like what you see on the screen here. Every single one of us are going after the exact same client. Okay. and it's all you need is 4. And so 4 power partners, including yourself, is 5. We now have Allie on here, who's a virtual assistant and a rock star going after everybody's clients. So, but the thing is you only need 4 really good, strong, strategic relationships that you can feed business to. Like every single one of your customers, Ben, every single one of your customers, Carrie, Dan, Allie, Mouse Calls has a national footprint. You know, Carrie has a very unique skill set. You know, we were competing for a while, but really not. But every now and then we connect. But I'm very intrigued with what you're doing now, and I can see bringing you in on all kinds of deals. And so it's making 5 quality referral, person of influence phone calls that will make you a crap ton of money. But it's like Jim Rohn said, it's easy not to do it. You know, and so I'll leave everybody with this. If you just get into the discipline, and it's a system and it's a process, and this is going to be the most valuable tip I ever share live, it will make you millions of dollars if you do exactly what I'm about to say, and that is you find 4 people you absolutely like hanging out with. They're all going after the same client. Either meet as a group once a month on Zoom or over dinner or whatever, or meet with one a week. You're going to meet with them every month. Hey, how did your month go? What were your big wins? What were your struggles? You know, what do you want to get accomplished next month? How can I help you? That's it. You know, you do that consistently, and you'll go into every month with 5, 10, 15 quality referrals. You'll help your buddy out, and you guys will grow your businesses. It is a system and a process. And so the alternative, buy a list, make a lot of phone calls, go to a lot of networking events. I kind of like the other one. I like playing golf and making 5 calls. So, and if you don't want to do that, then you can outsource it to Operation Delegate here. So Allie, take 1 minute real quick because we're out of time. Introduce yourself and your business and the best way that people can get a hold of you, and then we'll close it down.
Hi, guys. Allison Pyron, Operation Delegate. I saw a need out there for a virtual assistant. I saw a need for business owners to help take tasks off your list. Everyone has a list of tasks, and those tasks at the bottom of your list are the ones you keep pushing further and further down. So what I decided to do is instead of working for John for free, I was going to start my own business. And so what I've learned in this is that there is value for what you put on your time. So whatever you see as value, you can get that. Friends, start looking at what is sucking up your time. So whether it be answering emails, making sales and marketing calls, whatever it be, that's where Operation Delegate comes in. I've been working with Dan recently, and we are hitting LaTip hard. And he's using me to go out there and help find him business. And so I have, it's really a plan out there that's going to work for you. I have a little task that I can provide for free that'll kind of help you examine where your time goes in what you do in your day, and what you can actually delegate, what you can keep to yourself.
I'm smiling because I kind of shared that earlier on the call, the 4 lists. And then I looked at literally Ellen, I looked at her business. I'm like, you need to do this. Here, I'll send you mine, rebrand it. You invented it. Okay, it's yours. Okay. and use it in your business, because it'll tell you, here's all the stuff that people are doing. So, but it's ideas like this. So one of the things I want to encourage everybody here is, if you resonate with people on this call, take their name down, direct message them. All you need is 4 really good, solid relationships, and we can all show up here every week and help each other with their business. So hope it's been valuable. If you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to this on the podcast, you're interested in connecting with any of these people, just send me a message or go to johnpyron.com and ask me. I've got all these people's information. They'd love to connect with you. Okay. So go out and make it happen. And next week we're talking, what are we talking about next week? Sales, marketing, operations. We're going to talk about business, finance, and accounting. I'm going to have a rock solid person on this call next week who is not your normal CPA, not your normal accountant. He's actually a business owner who happens to do accounting, bookkeeping, and finance. So he's going to come with some, you got about 185 tax strategies, tax write-offs that you can do for your business. But if you don't know what they are, you're going to spend way too much money on taxes. So we're going to share all kinds of secrets and tips and tricks next week. Highly recommend you show up and get the recording as well. And so I got to make sure I have an actual licensed expert to teach this because I don't want to get sued. So anyways, have a great one. We'll talk to you guys